I thought this was supposed to be KD's moment where he's about to lead the team to the championship. You know, because there was Steph Curry. You remember Steph Curry? That was Golden State. That was Steph's team. And so this was KD's opportunity. It was going to be KD and Kyrie. And then all of a sudden it's James Harden. And so now it's all of a sudden it's KD, Harden, Kyrie, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond. I mean, like, well, damn. You remember that tweet in 2010 when KD tweeted, damn, everybody want to play with the Heat and Lakers? Whatever happened to competition? You remember that tweet, Chris Haynes? You remember that one? Oh, okay. Okay. I was just checking. I was just making sure you remembered it. Because I remember everything.
Are you jealous?
I ain't say nothing. Because this is what hold on, tell me about it. This is what my good friend and my debate partner Skip Bayless does. He told me, and even Charles Barkley say, damn, LeBron won all the good players. I ain't heard nobody mention anything about KD won all the good damn players. You heard anything, Chris Haynes?
Okay, so I watched Undisputed today, and here we are. Giannis has basically gave Shannon Sharpe and the rest of his haters a reason to be mad at him. So last night, Giannis was on one of those late night TV shows where he took a playful jab at KD. He said, hey, instead of joining super teams, why don't you meet up with me so I can show you how to carry a team to the NBA Finals? Obviously, he was reading from a script. It's not something that he wrote himself or he said himself. He was making a joke like most of these shows are. They're very sarcastic. My thing is, he didn't say anything out of the ordinary of what would be said at the ESPYs when they make jokes about these players, right? But he said something along those lines. And Shannon Sharpe, he got on Undisputed today, and he showed a lot of hypocrisy towards his criticism with Giannis. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that audio here.
Okay with this?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, just for the record.
And that's the thing, Skip. Just because they wrote it up there and says, I think this will be good, nah, because I already know how that's gonna come off. And so he's had this before. Skip, remember the All-Star game? They ask you, you're not going to take James Harden? Like, no, I want somebody that's going to pass me the ball. Well, how do you think James Harden's going to take that? How do you think Kevin Durant's going to take this?
Not well.
But, Giannis, you got to remember now, you talking about carrying a team, remember what you was doing before you traded for True Holiday. Remember what you was doing before Chris Middleton became of age. Let me tell you what you did. You lost before you got a Holiday. You lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. You lost in the Conference Finals. You lost in the Eastern Conference first round. You lost in the Eastern Conference first round. So you weren't carrying anything anywhere. Mm-hmm. You've turned into an unbelievable player. You are a top 2, top 3 player in the NBA currently.
He is.
But let's not pretend that you've been doing this your whole career, bro, because you haven't.
Good point.
I don't get why he would. Skip, I get it. But there's a certain level that when you become a top player, this is a conversation you have with your boy that's off air.
He said, let me remind you of what you did before acquiring Drew Holiday. He lost in the conference finals. He lost in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. He lost a lot. It's what most NBA players do when their careers begin. You want to know why? Because the Bucks organization was terrible for years until they got under new management. And even when Giannis was there, they didn't know if they wanted to build around him or Jabari Parker. Let me remind you of the rosters that were around Giannis prior to them becoming a good team. So this is the 2016-2017 roster. You have Michael Beasley, Malcolm Brogdon, good player, Matthew Dellavedova, no longer in the league, Spencer Hawes, no longer in the league, to my understanding, John Henson, no longer in the league, Terrence Jones, Thon Maker, no longer in the league, Greg Monroe, no longer in the league, Steve Novak, he's a little bit older, that's why he's not in the league. He was a good shooter, but he didn't contribute to anything on that team. Gary Payton II, he was still bouncing from the G League at that time. He wasn't the defender that we know him now. Miles Plumlee, good player, wasn't it what he was now. Tony Snell was out there doing cardio. Come on now. Jason Terry, past his prime. Rashad Vaughn, no longer in the league. All right. And then you look at the 2017 and 2018 roster. It doesn't necessarily get better. You got Eric Bledsoe. We already know why Eric Bledsoe didn't work. Come on now. Sterling Brown, John Henson, Brandon Jennings, DeAndre Liggins, Thon Maker, Shabazz Muhammad, like all these guys, bro, they were in developmental stages in their career, or they're not in the NBA anymore because they're washed. But yet you're bringing up Giannis's failures like he just had a good team out the gate. He didn't get to play with Russell Westbrook and James Harden to start his career in OKC. So what playoff success was he going to have? Mind you, LeBron was still running the East at this time. He was just developing. And for him to develop in Milwaukee and become what he has now, that says more about Giannis than it does about KD. Trust me. Giannis didn't duck any smoke and join a super team. They built a team around him. Y'all sit here and then y'all try to create this narrative that he somehow has a super team around him. He don't have a damn super team around him. Y'all sit here and y'all bring up the fact that Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday were all-stars. Well, and Brook Lopez was an all-star at one point to try to prove that he has a super team. But yet you go and you look at Phoenix Suns side of the bench and you say, can we even call Devin Booker a superstar? What are y'all talking about? Can you even call Devin Booker a superstar? I mean, look what he did in the finals and yada, 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 and all this other stuff. So y'all are willingly going to try to make Devin Booker lesser than a player of what he is, just so y'all can try to prove a point against Giannis. That makes no sense to me. No sense whatsoever. But again, I know what this is. We talked about this, right? And Giannis has to be careful. I get it. He doesn't have the privilege to go out and say these things. If LeBron or KD or any one of these American superstars would have came out and said exactly what Giannis had said on that show, it wouldn't be an issue. They'd be laughing. Notice they didn't say anything about Jokic. It was only KD. As long as Giannis went at another international player, it was fine. Y'all had no problem with the joke he made against Jokic. But when he says something about your beloved American superstar, who, by the way, has not won a ring on his own accord, then it's an issue. Because I agree, KD does need to prove himself and win a ring on his own team. He jumped ship and went to the Warriors. The same thing LeBron did when he went to the Heat. And then, obviously, I'll give him the Brooklyn Nets wasn't necessarily his fault. That's a terrible organization, but he requested to go to the Phoenix Suns, and that's exactly where he went. Why? Because he wanted to play with another superstar, and he wanted to play with another Hall of Famer. And lastly, to put the nail in a coffin on an already dead subject, on a terrible take from Shannon Sharpe, you guys saw the beginning clip. He applied the same criticism to Kevin Durant in 2021. So everything that he just said in this clip is null and void. It doesn't make sense. It's hypocritical reporting. You sat there the last 5 years going back and forth with Skip Bayless about how KD jumps from super team to super team, how he's not a leader, how it was Steph's team, how his legacy would mean more if he led himself to a ring, and then Giannis does it, and now you're upset, Shannon Sharpe. Please explain that to me. So that's all I have to say. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Until next time.